everyone. Welcome to Connections for Life. And I'm Ted Pete.
And I'm Chad Kuvo.
What's your cat's name?
Friend.
No, he's needing my hat.
What's his name?
Chad.
Wow.
The cat's name is Chad too?
I'm not real quick, guys. That's a lot of pressure.
Wow. You here to eat the fish on my hat?
Yeah.
Wow, wow.
Joe Surratt, everybody. Hello, hello.
So guys, this is a great intro here that might be the creepiest cat in the background, but the one on Chad's head looks a little bit out there.
Oh, you mean Chad?
Yes, Chad. Chad.
That's nice, guys. Real nice. I'm trying to turn it off and I can't figure it out, which is going to be great because we'll have to do the whole thing with the cat.
Oh, hey, let's get going here. Let's get rocking.
Don't laugh, Joe.
We're gonna start by saying a little bit of a trade show roundup because the world is opening back up a little bit. So we're going to begin with giving some updates on the trade shows taking place.
You legit can't turn that cat off, can you?
This is great.
All right.
I can change it to Spike though. Sorry.
I'm gonna go first because I can't take it. Everybody, APGA and our wonderful friend Dave Shriver, who we had on a couple episodes back, is having their 2021 annual conference. It's going to be in Santa Ana, Pueblo, New Mexico. Chad's already mentioned this one other time, but I just wanted to let everybody know. July 25th through the 28th, and I will be there, and I believe Mr. Kuvo will be as well. So come join us, and maybe we'll.
I'm going to apply for
Chad will bring Chad.
I'm going to complain. I'm applying for a companion license for Chad.
Holy cow!
Are you going to be
that's all I
okay
got.
if they fly the cat?
Yes.
Little things, huh, Kuvo?
That was great.
I thought I was going to have to go through the whole thing like that. I really did.
Hey, so I'm going to bring up the fact that DCA is taking place July 27th through the 31st in Orlando, Florida. It is a combined DCA event with the normal annual meeting and the family gathering as well. So it'll take place down in Orlando on July 27th through the 31st, and I will be at that one.
Sweet.
Hey, I just realized those are at the same weeks.
Yes.
Maybe we can record on location wherever.
Oh, that would be fun.
Ooh, that'll be a good one. As long
It'll be like this. All of us will be in a hotel room.
And then additionally, a couple weeks before that, the Underground Construction Technology Utilitech Conference is taking place in Nashville, Tennessee at July 13th through the 15th. And I will be as well. So those are going to be some upcoming shows that we've got coming up. What about you, Chad? You know,
I actually have Kentucky Gas Association, which is probably the earliest one that I know of. June 2nd and 3rd in Lexington, not at the normal Marriott that it's at. If anybody of our watchers have been there, I believe it's probably actually across the street at the Hilton brand. I think it's an Embassy maybe across the street, which is I'm a huge fan of that. Hilton, come on, Hilton. There's a sponsorship. There it is. Come on,
yes,
send us some free rooms. Sorry, guys.
That's not happening.
I just don't like no free ads. You know,
no free ads.
And
we'll yeah, Joe, you'll be at that one too. That's like the first one getting back at it, so it'll be interesting to see how that.
When is that? June what?
June 2nd and 3rd.
I gotta write that down.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I was gonna say, Joe's writing that down now.
Yeah,
I legitimately am.
Okay, so hey, who do we have joining us on the show today?
Today we have Gelie.
I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it.
Akhenblit, I believe.
I think you did a really good job.
Akhenblit.
I think you asked her 30 times too.
Yeah, I probably didn't get it right either.
Yeah, I hope she emails us and says you're all wrong.
She won't.
No, she won't.
100% she will. So anyway, tell us a little about Gelie.
So Gelie is the operator of networkingphoenix.com, which is a pretty neat thing. She was like kind of the Facebook before Facebook, and it's her own marketing, her own software format essentially for networking. She has over 40,000 members over the last 14 years of doing that. And essentially
only in Phoenix.
In Phoenix. She is trying to expand the platform. She's been working on the software and hopes to relaunch this year. But just a lot of fun to talk to, a lot of just good stuff. Really, really neat story. Really
special thanks to Dana Badkey. I just blew that one.
I'm sure she won't yell at you for that either.
I got Akhenblit right, but I can't get Dana's name right. for introducing us to Gelie.
Yeah.
They've been friends and have done some things together in the past, so we really appreciate the
Gelie, yeah, she's it'll be interesting.
Guys, it's a fun interview because I was sitting back literally, like you said, it was to Facebook before Facebook. But what was cool was to hear the story of how it took place. And in my mind, I was creating the movie.
And here's the thing. I don't. What's interesting is I don't remember if we talked about it at length in the interview. But she's also, if you watch her TED talk, she was also like a refugee. She was born in Russia and essentially was a refugee here. Came here at like 9 years old. So it's pretty neat story all around. The TED talk's really cool. I've watched it twice, and I don't mean when you talk, TED, don't take credit. But I don't have anything left to say. But if you want to bring.
So without further ado, welcome to the show, Gelie. Hello, Gelie, and welcome to Connections for Life.
Hey guys, glad to be here.
Hey Gelie, how are you? Well, this is a little different, and I think we've kind of moved into a different kind of what we do on this show. We spent the first like 35 episodes just interviewing people that were specifically gas related, and we kind of got off of that, and we bring them back in, and we kind of been alternating now for a couple of weeks, and we were fortunate enough to get to meet you through Dana Badke.
Another one from
Dana's killing it here. She's like our executive producer or talent agent. I don't know.
He's awesome.
Yeah, Dana's awesome, and she was nice enough to put us in contact with you, and we've had some really cool conversations, and we wanted to share that with our audience. So thank you for being here. With that being said, since it is a little bit different, why don't you tell us about yourself and your organization?
Yeah, absolutely, would love to. So, my company is. I think my roots started a little bit unique. So let me kind of back up to how I got started, which will explain kind of where I am right now, right? Mm-hmm. So I graduated from Arizona State University. I'm in Arizona. And when going through my major, I was always interested in marketing and communications. That was just kind of my field. I graduated, had 2 jobs, official jobs out of college pertaining to that within that field. And it was really by my second job that I started to realize I have this challenge working for other people. And it's right. And it's not that I'm not lazy. I work, like I've been working since I was 14, but working for other people and being in other people's schedule, like as petty or maybe as silly as that sounds, it was actually quite a detriment, like to my soul. Like I just felt like I was getting depressed. Like it was really weird.
How old were you, Gelie, then?
I was about 24 at this time. So in my early 20s, I felt incredibly boxed in. I felt like my talents were wasted. I was working in corporate America. It was all the nightmares that you hear of corporate America. I couldn't believe how cold these people were. It was just not who I am as a person at all. Nothing was resonating with me. And so I remember thinking, I don't want another job, but what am I going to do? Like I'm 24, like this is a real problem.
A whole bunch of time left to do stuff.
I don't think you're ready for retirement yet, right?
No, not ready for retirement. No trust fund. I mean, I've got to figure this thing out. So I started attending networking events, almost like by accident, right? Somebody had invited me somewhere. And I remember I walked into a networking event and like this very first one, and I was walking around the room and talking to people. And it was just like one of the biggest highs of my life. Like my dopamine was off the charts, just like talking to strangers and getting to know them. And like, what are you like? Why are you here? Like, who are you here to? I mean, it was just conversations with people. And I remember walking out of there that night and coming home and like, I'm like, what just happened?
I want to do that again.
Yeah. I need to do that tomorrow morning.
I want to do that again. Yes, tomorrow morning.
Right?
6 a.m. How do I do this? So of course, so this is 2006, 2007, maybe, right? So I started to like, how do you find networking events back then? We didn't have Google. We didn't have Meetup. We didn't have Facebook. Well, we had Google, I'm sorry. But like, that's actually the only thing we had. But there wasn't a hub for networking events. So I'm like, all right. So I started to ask people, like literally some of the people I met, do you know where the next networking event is? And basically, what I would do is I'd leave my corporate job like at like 3:30. I'd come home, log on for a little bit. So basically, so I could get to these events, because most of them start 5:30.
You're like an addict, huh?
Oh my God. Yeah.
You
Well,
loved it.
yes, I don't know if addict is the right word, but when I put my mind to something, like I am
Amazing.
all in.
That's
right.
awesome.
And I know that about myself. Like I was old enough at that point, like I've had enough life experiences to know that when I put my mind something, it's mine, right? Like good luck trying to catch
That's
up.
awesome.
Like it's the cute, so
Absolutely.
I was like, this is going to be mine. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. But so I started to go to all these networking events, and it became so that I was the only person in town that knew where these events were happening, because again, I made it my job, my research. So I had a really fancy Word document going, right? Like, when I kid when I say fancy, it was
Yeah, I got it.
But it was about the max you could do then. Really, there wasn't a whole lot.
Right. I suppose I could have done an Excel sheet, but copy paste was easier into Word.
Slow down. Let's not get crazy.
Right. And then all of a sudden, so then people would see me everywhere, and they're like, Gelie, what do you do? Because I wasn't telling everybody what I do for a living. I was like, my corporate job had nothing to do with it. I was literally there to meet people. And they're like, so people were trying to figure out how to put me to work. They're like, well, without me asking them, they're like, Gelie, you're everywhere. You know everyone. Can you introduce me? Like if you find me this person, I'll pay you. Everybody's happy to pay you commission. Like nobody wants to give you a retainer. Everybody wants to pay commission. And I'm like, right. And I'm like, I don't really want to work for commission. Like that's not, but I was like, if everyone is asking me, there's got to be a business model here. Right. And I don't even know what it is, right? I never took a single business class in my life. I've never envisioned myself as an entrepreneur. Like I was never guided towards this. So I was building out this thing that I couldn't even say was like completely intuitive. I couldn't explain it to people. So, but it was very intuitive. And I came home after one event. And at the time I was married to a software engineer, brilliant software engineer. I will just, to give him credit where credit is due. And I said, listen, have this idea. Can you build me a website so I could put a calendar on there and list all the networking events? Because there's so much demand of people want to know where these events are happening. Right. We'll put up the site, and then maybe we could put up some ads on there. Like I didn't quite know. I was like, let's just put up a site. Right. This is 2000. Yeah, this is 2007. Back then you could still actually make some money with, Google ads or something. Yeah. Like that was still a thing. I don't think it is anymore, but it was back then. So he says, sure, no problem. So he took my personality into account, right? I mean, he knew me very well and we were married. He took my personality into account. He took my idea into account, tied in with his engineering brilliance. And what we launched on January 1st, 2008, which I didn't have words for to describe, was essentially he built a software that allowed me to build a community of people centered around professional networking events.
It's incredible.
Right. So nowadays I can explain what a community is, because now finally,
That's a term now.
Yeah. And then you didn't even know what you were creating, I guess. Really.
No, I didn't. So people were like, oh, she's a networking group. Oh, she has events. So, but what other networking group promotes everybody else's networking events? Nobody does that. Right. So for me, I was like the mama hub, of all these networking groups. Like it's free to list. Right. So it's like, it was a mix between Meetup and LinkedIn.
It's pretty cool.
Right.
In fact, that was in my pitch deck. I was like, if Meetup on LinkedIn got together and had a baby, it would be my software.
I love it. That's fantastic.
Right. But that's a good visual. That makes sense.
That's amazing. So, and I know we have questions out there, but we kind of, in talking to you, it's so much easier just to kind of to talk with you. How did you, I guess, monetize that? And how did that become Networking Phoenix now, of what it is? Now we're 13 years later, right? And
what he's asking is, how did you leave your corporate job and end up having this be your full?
No, that wasn't it at all. I'm saying, well, how did you make money from that idea?
My bad.
Close though, Joe.
Yeah, swing and a miss.
Yeah, no, two great questions, which have great answers to. So Chad, I'll start with yours, and Joe will come back to yours, because that's a great story, what you just asked. So Chad, so the way that I monetized it is, again, this was so intuitive back then because there was nobody doing this that I could say, oh, I want to do what that influencer does, or I want to know. The influencer wasn't a word back then either,
Wasn't a
right?
thing at all.
Here's what I was influenced by. Do you guys remember the Netflix DVDs for $10 a month?
Yep.
Oh
I
yeah.
do.
Right? Like before we had Netflix on Roku
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do I get all my members to pay me $10 a month? Like that's all I want is $10. I have a lot of, like, at this point I have over 40,000. How do I get all of them to give me $10 a month? Right. That's
Which
not
was
even a lot.
nothing. It's $10,
Which is nothing.
right? Right.
Right. And so I came up with this recurring revenue concept. Oh my God, now that's the whole thing, recurring revenue. But back then, again, I was literally looking at the Netflix DVD as the model. And so I came up with this concept. And again, I didn't want to be another chamber. Everyone's like, oh, you can do discounts. Oh, you can do that. And I'm like, I did not come into this lifetime to replicate what other people do. Like I am here making my own footprint. And I'm very clear on the fact that I get visions and I'm not trying, it's not about being humble, not humble. It's just, this is who I am, accepted, move on with it. Right. So like, it's not an easy path, right? I mean, everybody tried to knock me down. They were like, what is she doing? You make no sense. So you can imagine how much I had to believe in myself to keep pushing with this. Right.
You have to embrace to drive the model on this. Yeah. 100%. You have to embrace
Real.
Yep. And it was extremely public from day one. It was because it blew up overnight because the economy crashed January 1st, 2008 when I launched it. So everybody started Googling landing on my site, and not everybody in this town was happy. I mean, I was 27 and a lot of them were like, who is this little girl and what does she think she's doing? And it was still kind of like a good old boys club back then. Yeah. And I disrupted all of that. A lot of people didn't like me. It was love, hate. I mean, they couldn't really like hate me because I was actually bringing them business.
Right, you were helping them too at the same time.
Exactly.
But it was a different, nobody likes change. It was a different way of doing business.
Correct. It was the internet and they just weren't prepared for it. Right. I mean, it was just another wave of the internet, coming in and doing things differently. So, all right, no worries. I'm a strong personality. Like I'm not, like people don't bother me or scare me. So I keep moving and so I launched this recurring model and my idea was that if they pay me $10 a month, they can attend my events for free, as well as other organizations' events for free. And I had the relationships with all these other organizations. And the reason they were happy to give me free tickets for my members, they want people. It's leads for them. Right. And again, no one ever created that. The closest thing that I've seen to that nowadays, oh my gosh, and I'm not even going to remember the name of the company. It's like
they don't get no free ads.
Yeah, no, but it's an interesting company. I use them, but I literally don't remember the name, but it's a boutique gym company. So when you sign up, you pay them a monthly fee, and then you can attend these boutique gyms for free.
All over the country, probably too, right? I mean, or in a
I mean, and typically you would do a local one. Yeah. So, and I've used them before, and I was like, wow, this is like a passport for the gyms.
It's kind of that's neat.
Planet Fitness model.
No, it's kind of when I had the same thing when I was a kid. I used to race sailboats, and we had like I can't remember the name of them, but what we used to call the term. But we could go to different yacht clubs when we were sailing and use their facilities because we were a member of this particular yacht club. It's kind of the same premise.
Yeah,
that name escapes me. I can't remember what it's called, but I know what you mean. That's an interesting concept. I wonder. Is that not to get off? Here we go. And me and Joe.
There you went.
Forget it. Go back to what you're talking about.
So
leave it alone.
Can we bring you back around to where Joe asked that question? I would love to hear about corporate America.
Yes. Oh, how I quit corporate America. Oh my God. Great story. It was an accident. So I'll tell you that first off, it was an accident. So here's the thing about corporate America, and the company I was working at, JP Morgan, and I was doing their internal employee communication. So I wasn't in the banking part of it. So it was very corporate, but on resume, let me tell you what it looked like on resume. So again, I'm in my early 20s, maybe mid 20s. I'm working downtown here in Phoenix in a high-rise building. I've got a cubicle, but my cubicle outlooks, I can see the entire city, right?
It's a decent gig.
Great money for being that young, the kind of money they were paying, plus bonuses, plus vacation, plus health insurance. I mean, it was like a sweet deal, except I felt like I sold my soul, right? I mean, that's just what you feel like. And it was like, how do you quit that? Well, it was hard. And not only that, but I was quitting. I felt like I was quitting my career. I felt like I was quitting everything I went to college for, everything I worked so hard for. And it's not that, this is where everything comes down to mindset, right? Because your mind will tell you whatever you want it to tell you. I came up with every single reason I could come up with of why I can't quit right now. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And like one of the biggest things that was holding me back finally was the fact that I tried to take graduate school classes, when I was working there. So they like pay you back, or they actually pay for them.
Mhm.
But if you quit within 2 years,
You owe them
then
the money.
you owe them the money.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my God, how much am I going to owe for this graduate school now? And it was something like $3,000. And I don't know. I was like, well, I can't. It's $3,000. Now I have to stay there until. And one day, my manager at the time, who was actually, we were hired at the same time, and she was my peer, but then she got promoted to be my manager. So she was a manager of one of me. Like it made no sense. Okay. Because I just needed to be managed apparently. So she calls me into the office and she says, we need you here for more hours, or blah. I don't even know. Like, it was like one of those, when you watch cartoons and they're just like, meh, meh, meh.
Or you
Like,
kind of
okay.
you blacked out and didn't even hear it.
The
Like,
parents
All
on
I heard-
Peanuts. Yeah.
Oh, yep, exactly. All I heard was, we need you here for more hours. And I was already checked out. And so I opened up my mouth. I had no idea what I was going to say. And I was like, well, then I quit. And she's like, what? And I'm like, what? And we just stared at each other. Yeah.
What's that?
And she was like, Gelie, are you sure? She's like, I maybe think about that. Take that back. Like, where's this coming from? And I'm like, if I said it, I'm done. I can't be here anymore. I'm like, it was beginning of January. So I'm like, I'm putting in my 3 weeks. I'll stay here till the end of the month and I am out.
Was that in 2000? What year was that? Was that 2008?
December of 2007.
Oh, okay. So you were right at that launch period. You were kind of still in that middle ground. Interesting.
Yep.
So
January 1st, 2008, we launched the site.
So it's been, if my math serves me right, what's that? 13, 14 years. Is that right? Am I doing good math?
Yeah, Joe.
13
So from then
years.
to now.
Not that hard, Joe. I'm scared a little.
I'm not that good at math.
You are.
Either.
Not on the fly.
13 years.
Not on the fly. So 13 years. So the 13 years, member one versus today. How I know that you have a pretty large following and people that are connected within the Phoenix area. How many total people do you have in your network of members?
So mainly I've been running this community here locally in Phoenix. And in Phoenix, I have over 40,000 profiles that have been created on the website since we launched, right? But it's, now keep in mind, not all of them are active, right? Because it's been 13 years. But these are not Instagram followers. These are people here locally that have come to my events, right? I used to have 15 to 2,000 people coming to my events consistently. These are people that have engaged with me somehow, so the network is big. I mean, they're all over. So I've got them on LinkedIn. I've got them in my email. Like there's times where I'm still walking down the street and people are like, oh, Gelie, I used to go to your events all the time.
I imagine you're like like a celebrity in Phoenix. I would assume you must feel like that sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying that to be boastful.
No, it is.
Like,
I mean, if you know 40,000 people that know your face and you're pretty popular. And you're right that there's a significant difference between the Instagram type thing and what you've set up. Instagram is, you look at these pictures, you don't even know who it is. Yeah. What you set up.
There's a lot of people you'll follow on social media now. And I speak for this with my children and I'm like, you're friends with them, right? And I know, I follow them on Instagram.
I know who I've seen their
They've never interacted. There's never been any dialogue. There's never been any conversation. So that's not the case. You're sitting at dinner at a restaurant and 7 other people are in there like, hey, how's it been? Actual engaging conversation.
Yeah.
Well, really?
Do you like that? Do you like that? Or
I was just going to ask the same thing.
I've gone through different phases of it because there's definitely been times where I'm in situations where I'm like, I do not want to be recognized
wanna
right
be
now. I
left
don't,
alone,
yeah. Like I
Like
don't
at
want
the
anyone to talk
grocery
to
store
me
on a
or-
Tuesday afternoon when you're just trying to get home.
No, like if I'm just trying to live my life and not be the
Yeah,
professional persona everybody expects me to be. Like I was,
right.
remember, I was 27 when I launched this. Like, so you can imagine my Vegas trips, like my, you know, like just party days. Like
It's
I'm just a
awesome though. I
normal
mean,
girl growing up, right? But
yeah.
like I don't want to be, oh, that's Gelie would, because my network, Gelie would networking Phoenix persona. I mean, it's uber, it was very professional. Like I, you know what I mean? Like I know how to present myself,
Right.
but I also wanted to go live my life.
Yep.
Right.
So there's times where I'm like, I hope nobody, and people did. I'd walk into places and people are like, hey, Gelie. And I'm like, well, if I'm here and you're here, okay, we're good. But you know what I mean? But it's just,
Yeah, we're set.
so-
We both know we weren't here,
Do you,
right?
do you ever find it challenging? I feel like this would be my challenge, is that I would want to remember everybody like that I've interacted with. And with so many people, like you must like always be like, who are you again? Like you can't possibly remember all of the people that you've interacted with.
I don't remember all of them, but I do remember quite a few. I remember people that made an impact. And like, so
Understood.
there's, sometimes I shock myself at how I remember people, right? And other times I don't. Like there's been times where I remember there's one time in particular, this was so odd. I, you know, had one of my big events, 2,000 people coming in. I'm standing at the door greeting everyone. I mean, you can, people just coming at me.
Yeah,
And one
2,000
guy
people, I
comes
can't
in,
even imagine. Yeah.
right, and I'm just greeting them. And you know, when you're greeting people, it's like, hi, welcome,
Hi.
nice to meet
Hi.
you, you know.
Move on.
And this, right, he comes in, you know, I say, hi, welcome, nice to meet you. And he's like, meet you? You know who I am. And he, I mean, he just got so upset, yelled at me and stormed off.
Did he
And I'm
stay?
like,
Did he stay?
So you had 1,999 people here.
right. So, but I mean, obviously that's, you know, I mean,
No.
that's a challenge for him.
It's an
You don't take
anomaly.
something
That's
like
exactly
that
right. That has
personally,
nothing to do with it.
Right.
Has nothing to do with me, you know. And
So,
and I will
however,
tell
those are
you,
the ones that you hold on to. Those
Yeah.
are the ones that you hold on to is
Right?
the 1,000 attaboys or the 1,000 yeses get lost. I give this analogy in sports all the time. You know, I scored a lot of points, caught a lot of touchdown passes, or whatever the case may be. But I don't remember all those, but I remember the one time I dropped the ball.
Yep, 100%.
Remember the time I missed the pass. Those are the moments we live on.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
yeah. But you
It's
know,
wild.
if it's a good emotional connection, I'll remember it as well, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes
Well, you
have
remember
those
that
too.
one because we're still talking about it how many years later, right? I
I
bet you
couldn't tell
remember him
who
now.
the guy is. I couldn't tell you who the guy is. I just remember the instance, and I remember, you know, you remember those weird, awkward human or interactions, you know. And it's like, I'll tell you, most of them have been with men, like, or males. I shouldn't say men. Like men wouldn't conduct themselves in such an, you know, immature manner. But I've had a lot of challenges with males that whatever I trigger in them, and they just kind of blow up. And they're like, I'm like, over email, in person, over the phone. And I'm like, these guys have no idea who they're dealing with. Like, I am not a, you know, quiet person. And it's just like, if they come at me, I'll, you know, there's a point between being professional and standing up.
Oh
for
yeah,
yourself.
it's funny,
Right.
Gelie, though,
Very
because
different.
you know, in talking to about N2 Dana, one of the biggest reasons, other than that you're awesome, for her to want you to come on the show was because that you're a woman.
No, I was gonna
It's-
say you're right. Our industry is dominated by men, and it's all the same type of environment, right? Like it's Dana kind of gave us a little bit of hell because she was like, "You guys don't have women on," and I'm like, "There's
Yeah.
not that many." Like it's not. It wasn't lack of effort. It's just that we don't have a big, especially in the world that we work in, that we you know that we engage with. That
different.
frequently. So,
It's definitely
anyways,
different.
Back
So
to
I guess,
money.
thanks, buddy. I guess my next question is, I know you want to expand, you want to do some different stuff. So are you looking at other cities? Or are you looking at other places and other networking? Columbus, that's where I'm at. So
JP Morgan has a big presence out there. I've been out
Yes,
there.
they do.
Columbus, yes. There's some little mall we always used to go to for drinks and dinner out in Columbus. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I've been there a few times. Some
Yeah,
outside
I can
mall.
probably find it for you. Columbus isn't that big.
All good. Not like the best memories or anything, but so let's see. So here's what's happening right now. So what we didn't quite touch on, well, I kind of alluded to it. I said my then husband. So my then husband was my technical co-founder, and about probably 5 or 6 years ago now, we split up. And so, I went through a business divorce, a personal divorce, and we were together for 17 years. So it was a lot of stuff to just pull apart. Yeah. And, deconstruct. And oh my gosh, I mean, it was just, but it is what it is, like it's so, but it was challenging because when your business is tied to your personal life, I mean, there's just no escape, right? I mean, and it was just all tied in. And I mean, what people don't realize about my business is it's a software platform, and I am not the software person. I'm marketing. So when the tech guy went away, the website's completely vulnerable. I mean, it could be taken down.
You don't even know how to fix it if something happens.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a WordPress site. Everyone's like, "Oh, can you go to WordPress?" Oh my God. If one more person asked me,
I only know how to use GoDaddy.
I'm definitely emailing that to you in 3 weeks, just so you know.
Yeah. But it's just like the level of sophistication that this enterprise software is built on is, and I can't just let anybody in, right? I mean, I have to trust them. They have to be a good engineer. I mean, there's many, many factors. And I knew that because of, working with my ex side by side. Like, I knew his brilliance. And if I was going to bring anybody in, they had to be similar to that level. This isn't just, people are like, "Oh, can't you find a college intern?"
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I can't find a college intern to build a massive enterprise site. Like, you can't, no.
That sounds like me.
That was, that was definitely a question.
That sounds like my question.
Do you think you could do this?
Anyways.
Well, so in any case, so so there's been, gosh, my journey has been, we don't have enough time to discuss the journey, but I'll tell you where it kind of ended up. It ended up that through networking, I found somebody that is a technical engineer. He's a CTO type. And he actually, here's how we found each other. We have a mutual friend, a mutual connection. And actually this mutual friend, he's a product guy. And he has been helping me for a very long time to move my company. Like, he was the first one I called when my ex was like, "I'm out of the company." Awesome. Right. He was the first one I called, and I'm like, "Dave, I don't, he's like, "Okay, don't worry. We got this. We'll figure it out."
That's great.
So what he ended up doing he got a call from his buddy who he worked at a different startup with. And he said, "Hey, I'm looking to partner with a startup to be their technical co-founder. Do you know anybody?" All right. So Dave was like, "Well, actually I do." And so he connected us. But mind you, I spared you so much drama.
I'm sure.
I have no doubt.
The years prior.
How long was that process from like the end of your previous business and personal relationship until you felt comfortable getting somebody in that position again?
I had another partner beforehand, and we worked together for a year, and I ended up walking away from that one because it was just a disaster. And I was like, I can't know, like, he was funding it. We had a software engineer lined up, and I was like, we were so misaligned that I literally just walked away from the project, sent an email and said, "We're done." It was a very difficult thing to do. I mean, there was money involved.
Yeah, that takes some courageous actions right there to say, "You're in, and that's not right, and I'm out."
But I think the undertone of the conversation that we've had is that I think all through your life and your career, you've had to make those decisions. And I think as you've gotten older, you've become more comfortable with making them, because that was the right thing. Like when you sit back in college, or when you're at JP Morgan, you had to leave, you thought of all the reasons why you shouldn't. Like, right. I think you're probably more confident and clear with your path and knowing what your outcome is and what you want it to look like. So I think those decisions, as you've grown, have also maybe become a little bit easier to digest. That's just my takeaway from this.
Hang on. I
still want to get the answer though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. I was going back to that. Give me a break. I was going back.
Whoa, stop.
No, I was headed right back. I was going to say, you know what? I'm turning my head.
Hey, so you've got the software aligned now. You've got the things in place. So expansion plans, other cities?
Yes. Yeah, so here's where we're at. So we've been working together for a while, and I am self-funding this. I decided not to raise money. So self-funding is all great, except that also means going
You have
to
to
go
self-fund it.
slow.
It means you have
Well,
to
it means
self-fund it.
Yeah, it means, yeah. Well, which is not the problem. Listen, this is my life. Like I'm happy to put money into this over, like, what am I gonna, what else am I gonna spend it
100%.
on? Like, I live very much within I'm such a minimalist. I like things have never mattered to me. I'm a refugee. You know what I mean? Like things are like,
Yeah.
I'm happy that I have beautiful space and I've got my daughter and I want to build my dreams. I don't need stuff. I'm building my dreams. So self-funding, not a problem, but that also means it's going to move slow because,
move as fast.
Yeah. So where we're at, it's been such a unique process for me because I got to learn how to wireframe an entire enterprise website. I have learned to do things I never thought I would have to know how, user interface and user text or testing, design, how to find a good designer that I can actually understand your vision. I mean, all of it. So it took a long time. This was not like, there was no one-stop shop. Like my designer, and I had a number of different designers, right? I started out with a really amazing one here in Arizona, and then she's so amazing, she got picked up. So then I had to find another one. I actually found this girl in Indonesia who was just like brilliant. She was able to pick up this girl's work and complete it, but all of that a process, right? So where I'm at today, I'm building this up, but there's like a reason. So yes, the site is like, it's going to go live at some point this year. I don't have a date because with software, you can't really have a date. Like it doesn't work, or I don't know but we're so close. I mean, the new site, it's up, right? Like it's not live to the public, but it's live. I can pull it up. I click on it, like 95% of it is complete. Now we're cleaning out the bugs. We have to build out the final phase, which is like the admin section, right? Which is like just the admin piece is not difficult. Right. And then migrate the data from the old site to the new site. And it's the software. I own this software. That's crazy. Right. This is mine. And that's what's unique about it is like, because a lot of people like, oh, I'm going to build a community on Facebook using groups, or I'm going to do it on Instagram. Right. Great. How would you like to do it with your own software? Because this can be used in any vertical that if you can build a community around events, right? So for me, I did it in the networking space, so I can keep going in the networking space. But another example, there are plenty of spiritual events in Phoenix. There are actually there are many more spiritual events that are networking events. So I could easily spin up, spiritual events in Phoenix.
You can actually
you could do anything.
Pretty much any event. Really, that's awesome.
Right.
Is it still $10 a month?
It's now 20. Thank you for asking. Yeah, but not. I don't have 40,000 people paying me $20 a month. Just to clarify.
I was going to wait a minute. I'm not very good at math, but
hang on.
Yeah.
I think there's one thing that's awesome is that that I noticed is that when you started talking about having to learn it yourself, you seemed really happy and excited, and I think that's cool. I think that part of this whole journey in life is like learning. At least for me, I love to learn, and I think that sometimes we limit ourselves with what we believe our capacities are, and then we surprise ourselves when we actually get to the end of when we didn't think we could achieve that. And I could see that in you and how happy and excited you were. I have one last question because I feel like we could talk to you forever, but I have one last one. And I think you're really inspiring. I do want to mention to everybody before I forget, if you have your website, which is just www.gelie.com. There's a really awesome TED Talk that you have posted on there. And I think a lot of people that would like to learn a little bit more about you and hear more of your story, I think that's a really incredible thing. And I've watched it twice now and
I've watched it twice too. It's
yeah,
awesome.
I find it really interesting. But the question I have for you is that for young entrepreneurs and people that are just starting out, what would be the one piece of advice that you would impart on them to provide them a pathway for success?
That's a great question. And I think, with the young entrepreneurs, especially nowadays, they're looking for that instant gratification and overnight success. Right. And it's not going to happen. It might. I mean, there's always that one anomaly.
Unless you're a rapper, unless you're a rapper, then odds are low.
I think you're right though. But building a business from the ground up is not something that happens, in a and a
It
staff.
doesn't. You need to have patience, and you need to like the other thing that, you know, for me, you end up making a lot of sacrifices. You really do. And this is where mindset kicks in. Like there were no happy hours. There were no Sunday fun days. There were no, like, none of that, you know, like I remember there was a moment in time where I was scheduling to hang out with my friends. And I remember looking at my calendar and I'm like, I don't think I can literally see my friends for the next 2.5 months.
And they
Because
don't understand that.
They
No.
don't. They do not understand
Kind of
that.
funny. We
People
just
don't
talked about
understand
this in regards to my 17-year-old son today, Joe, and I actually talked about it because he's a really good hockey player, and all those same things, like you just said, actually resonate to just youth and goals and everything else. It's pretty neat. It's wild.
Yeah. So that would be my advice, is like, you know, make sure, because if your mindset isn't set in that place, it's going to be very difficult to actually accomplish the discipline. You have got to have extreme discipline. And you're going to have to work. I mean, nothing is like, it's not instant gratification. I mean, like you're going to have moments where it becomes like, nowadays when I do things, people are like, Gelie, how do you magically just make things happen overnight? And honestly,
it took me 15 years to get to that magical overnight.
Yeah.
yeah, you know, and for me, again, it was a bit of a different journey because I happened to launch a business that was going to be needed during an economy crash, which I didn't know. Like, it's not like I planned that, but some of it was being at the right place at the right time.
Better to be lucky than good. I always say
There's no
that.
such thing as coincidences. I'm a
No.
That's
too.
Everything happens for a reason. And that reason may not be revealed to you at the moment that is taking place, and you can't understand what's happening or taking place at that time, but there is no such thing as a coincidence. It's all happening for a pre-designed purpose.
Still trying to figure out why I'm at TED. I can't get it.
Including Chad, as we Gelie, listen, I know Joe normally does this, but I have to say thank you. Listen, this was honestly probably, no offense to any of our other guests, but I sat here just soaking in everything you were saying, and it was very, very insightful and truly
Thank you.
Inspirational, I would also say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say it too. We don't all the time, all three of us, thank everybody, but I thank you for taking your time. It's been really cool. It's awesome to meet you. It's awesome to know that hopefully if I see you and I'm walking into one of your events, you won't just say great to see me. But,
Nice to meet you.
The last thing I want to add one last time is www.gelie.com. Also, please look her up on LinkedIn. She does a networking event every Friday, I believe, virtually. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I just want to add to that really quickly.
Go
So
for it.
Gelie.com, that's my consulting site. That's more about me and the one-on-one work. If people actually want to look at this platform that we've been talking about, they can find that on Networking Phoenix.
Gelie, thank you for joining us on Connections. Great interview. Another step outside of the natural gas world, really, to do exactly what we talked about: build connections and networking. And
how do you say after the interview? You say it exactly the same way every time. It's amazing that you say it that, like, the thank you, Gelie. It's kind of signature as well, almost like without further ado.
Oh yeah,
I think I'm gonna signature TED it.
Hashtag.
Wow. Anyways, yeah. Gelie, no, it was cool. Like I actually, as these guys know, like we talked to her for a long time, not just during the interview, but also before and not after, but before.
She had to rearrange a dental appointment to
yeah. And I had a million questions for her because it's so unique what she did. I mean, to create a company, not just to create a company out of thin air, but to also create a company out of a concept that you had that never existed before.
Yeah, that's
pretty crazy.
Wild.
Like that's unbelievable.
That's innovation at its core.
I legitimately could have talked to her forever, but it was great. Gelie, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I really hope to get to Phoenix someday and get to meet you in person and maybe see what you got going on out there. I think we talked about it, but every Friday on LinkedIn, you can look on her page there. She does a networking event, and it's just it's something that I plan on attending this week. This Friday. So if anybody wants to hop on, it just might be kind of a new cool thing to check out and see how it
works.
How it all works.
Cool kids are doing it. I heard all the cool kids are doing it.
Yeah. Then I'm out.
Then you're not allowed.
I'm out. Yeah.
Hey Chad, what time is it?
I think it's gas fact time.
Is it also cat fact time?
Never gets old.
Maybe.
So So we one of the things that we talk about a lot is like, and I think we spend most of our time talking about it, natural gas versus renewables versus, other fossil fuels. And we always talk about heating primarily, right? Heating and cooling. That's really what we talk about.
Yeah. I mean, people have
But I think there's one thing that a lot of people don't realize, and is that, and Dan kind of is the person that kind of got me thinking about this, Dan Pajak, is that we need energy for everything. Like everything that we do needs energy. And there's some key products that we use almost on a day-to-day basis that are derived and brought and manufactured from natural gas. So some of those things include, and I just want to point some of these things out because I don't think everybody always realizes, vinyl flooring, carpeting, your roof, furniture, paint. A major component of fertilizer is ammonia, which actually comes from natural gas. A lot of the medicines that we use and health supplies, aspirins, car seats, artificial limbs, heart valves are all created from natural gas. So, and then there's personal products that we use every day as well. Our sunglasses, deodorant, lipsticks, makeup, cameras, cell phones, even our computers are made using natural gas. So the next time you guys buy a new shirt or take out garbage or eat some food, please remember that natural gas is one of the major reasons that you have those luxuries in your life. And I think a lot of times we overlook that. So it's not so much of a fact, more than just an observation.
I like
So
that one. That's different, Joe. I like that one though. That's self-awareness.
We spend so much time talking about, heating and cooling and all of these things, but I think there's such a broader scope that, everything that we utilize and everything that we have in our lives is derived from energy. And a big part of that energy is natural gas. So
yeah,
that's my fun
awesome,
fact.
Joe.
Nice fun fact.
Thanks,
that
man.
is a fun fact. Another fun fact, I think we should have brought it up in the intro, but this week's episode is going to be really fun for people to watch because we had internet failure take place during the actual.
Bree might be able to fix it.
I don't know if
That's
they're
what
going to
I'm
actually
excited to
notice
see how
that.
it comes together because I jump back in and I'm out because I lost service and signal and everything. So
There's also one other cool thing.
You're drinking water?
not
it's
episode 52, boys.
Whoa.
1 year, 52 weeks later, and literally this Saturday is the 1 year anniversary of our concept 2.5 or 3 minute video, whatever it was. We should really do another one.
And I think that we
from Vegas.
Yeah. I think we're going to do something cool, something a little different. We'd like to get some past guests back on and just kind of talk about what the last year looked like since we started all this. So
that'd be fun.
Stay tuned.
That'd be great.
All right, fellas.
All right. Well, hey, so without further ado, remember to like, click, subscribe, and follow, share, do all those.
Anything else? Join.
I love my gas fast.
You broke a green screen.
If anybody's watching this that sees us on any other platform other than LinkedIn, please add us on LinkedIn. We'd love to have more followers.
Oh yeah, please. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Yeah.
All right, guys. Till next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Teddy.